And welcome to another episode of Wrestling Collector's Zone. Today what I have for you is a video that I'm going to do a small review on. I had sat down today watching some more stuff on the WWE Network. And as I came across, I was glancing across their documentaries, and I had saw what popped up was the authentic Untold Story of ECW. I did not actually see what the date was originally on this, but it was real interesting, like a sit-down documentary on. It was just more of like an interview that Corey Graves had narrated it, basically asking the questions. And he originally sat down with Paul Heyman first. And he asked Paul Heyman basically some of the basic beginnings of ECW and how it came to be and where it was transitioning from Eastern Championship Wrestling into Extreme Championship Wrestling. Next, they had brought out, I believe, Bubba Ray Dudley. And Bubba Ray Dudley, this documentary / interview basically involved the people that were actually involved within ECW, like the behind the scenes things, the bookings, doing like merchandise, doing training stuff, all the stuff like that. And they sat down they brought out Bubba Ray Dudley. So then Paul Heyman and Bubba Ray Dudley were sitting there talking, answering questions. And for those of you that don't know, and I don't want to spoil like a whole lot of the information, but I don't think that's too much of a spoiler, is that Bubba Ray Dudley was actually the person that ended up becoming responsible for doing the bookings for ECW, for any of the arenas and like the commercial stuff like that and everything. And so they kind of got into more of that aspect, asking questions, how that worked, how that was for Bubba Ray Dudley, and behind the scenes. And then they ended up bringing out Taz, and they had spoke to Taz about, Taz was actually, besides wrestling and ECW, he was also responsible for the merchandise side of ECW. He was the one that designed all the ECW shirts, and the ECW had some amazing shirts. That was what was so interesting, was that Taz had designed the shirts and stuff, and he didn't even have any type of background with like graphic design or anything like that, but he did an amazing job with all the ECW shirts. He also was the one that was responsible for what was called the House of Hardcore, which was ECW's wrestling school out of Philadelphia, I believe is where it was. And they had kind of talked about that and asked him like if there was any big names that came out of there, etc. And they just kind of, continued to ask Bubba Ray Dudley and Paul Heyman questions and Taz. And then last, they brought out the last two people, which was Tommy Dreamer and Devon Dudley. And a lot of people do know this, but some people may not. That's what's so great, is that this documentary is great for both sides. People that want to relive those days at ECW and hear some of those stories again, or for people that actually did not know all this information about ECW that would like to know it. Tommy Dreamer was responsible for a lot of what was going on within ECW, and like Paul Heyman bounced all his ideas off of Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer and Paul Heyman were really close, and basically Tommy Dreamer was really the one that carried the company as far as it did go, by doing a lot of the behind the scenes stuff and everything. And then they had spoke with like Devon Dudley as well about some of the responsibilities that he may have had, and when he came into the company, and how it worked, and how he became a Dudley boy. and everything. It just overall was a great sit-down documentary just to sit down and kind of relax and watch this and hear some of those stories and relived again. The documentary, I believe, was about 45-50 minutes, so somewhere right around there, 45-50 minutes, so it's not too long, but actually it kind of leaves you wanting for more. So maybe one of these days they will pick up again and continue some more of the stories and everything, doing an interview, but it was definitely a good sit down and watch for this week too. So if you're interested, just if you have the WWE Network, go on there and you can either search the name, which is the Authentic Untold Story of ECW, or you can go ahead and just go into the documentaries. It's right under the documentary section. If you go to documentaries and scroll down a couple rows, it'll be, I believe, in like the third or fourth row there, somewhere right around there. And just go ahead and give it a watch. It's a great watch to, see Taz and Bubba Ray Dudley, Devon Dudley, Tommy Dreamer, and Paul Heyman just come back together. Those guys that were responsible for the greatness of ECW and carrying the company. And to watch them sit down and answer questions and relive stories and have some good laughs and everything. So I would say just go ahead and give it a watch. It's definitely, I would say, a 4-star out of 5-star watch for a documentary. Give it 2 thumbs up. So go ahead and go give it a watch on the WWE Network. That's the Authentic Untold Story of ECW. And this is the Wrestling Collector Zone again this week for you. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Make sure you get the notifications when our videos go live. Again, when we get close to that 100 subscribers, we will be starting those giveaways. So make sure you spread the word, get us to that 100 subscribers, and start getting those freebies. And this was the Wrestling Collector Zone. You guys have a great night.